Welcome to In the Naad, Andy Lopez, aka the Invisible Gardener. I know Andy is Astra, so it's going to be a little difficult for me. We might switch between names here, but Andy is the founder of, and also is known as the Invisible Gardener, but is the founder of a gardening and soil regeneration company and organization called the Invisible Gardener, and is also advised to the Department of Agriculture and sat on various boards, botanical boards, and is a musician and a visual artist, and is generally just interested in the biome of health. Would we say that that's accurate?
The biome of health. That's cool because it covers soil, it covers the body, it covers insects, trees.
The mind.
The biome of health.
Yeah.
You might write a song, call it the biome of health.
Thank you. I've known Andy for a few years through various spiritual organizations, and I only just discovered his outrageous, incredible SoundCloud and Spotify. So we'll get to that. But primarily, I thought, one of the ways that you sort of impacted my life was in reading your book, Don't Panic, It's Organic. And it was all about these very, very integrous and biodynamic ways to take care of the earth around you and also take care of common household, pests. Like everybody's got an ant problem and people freak out over their ant problems. And they bring in all kinds of crazy chemicals to take care of their ant problems. But it's just as easy to grab some diatomaceous clay, mix it with some peanut butter and honey, put it out, and let the ants just leave your home and then takes care of itself. That was it was a life changer for me and my family.
I tell people when they come to me with an ant problem, I tell them, you don't have an ant problem, you have a soil problem.
Right.
And that's the key to it. That's the key to understanding. I tell people that all the time, whatever disease, whatever pest, those are just effects.
Mm-hmm.
The law of cause and effect that you have to tune into. Same thing with our bodies, law of cause and effect. That's the way nature works.
When you say that you don't have an ant problem, you have a soil problem, are there specific elements in the soil that relate to these kinds of problems? Could you talk about them?
The soil biology, Mother Nature's, they are the real invisible gardeners. You don't see them. Mm. And their job is to recycle. And the way they recycle is they have evolved throughout the centuries. Like the ants, for example. Ants are involved in everything. So when ants take over a certain area, there are billions of ants, right?
Yeah.
And normally the soil biology in the soil, the microorganisms control the ants, control their population, control any disease, any pest in the soil, see?
Right.
And there's like an army of biology. There's more biology in the soil than people have yet to discover.
Right.
And it's amazing the way they work, because as an army, they have specialized skills.
Yeah. See,
and for ants or any pest that attack your plants, when ants are really cool because first of all, they're a female-runner organization.
Huh.
Really very cool. The only time you see males is when they're going to have a sex party. Usually 100 males try to mate with one female, and then they end up going away. The other males are going, did you get it? No, I didn't get it. And they die. It's horrible.
Wow, I did not know this.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
horrible.
Wow.
I don't want to be a male ant. But it's the biology that controls all these. It controls diseases.
We're talking about the microbes in the soil.
The microbes in the soil. Mm-hmm. I used to say microbes, and then recently I became a co-host on this show called It's All About the Biology. And he told me to say biology because that includes not just microbes or organisms, all kinds of little creatures that are supposed to be in the soil.
Uh-huh.
And that's what controls diseases, that's what controls the pests.
Yeah, so when we're talking about the microbes, but not just the microbes, all the other organisms, what are some of these other organisms?
There's just so many of them.
Yeah.
Even I have friends who graduate from a they're now certified microbiologists. They said we only know a few of them. We don't have names for the rest. We don't have any names for the rest of them at all. We have no idea. And I can mention, spit out names. You're going to go,
Yeah.
See, because it's like, and people all the time ask me, what is it that you are spraying? Because I have a worm farm. See, I learned in Florida, I started making my own compost. I developed Invisible Gardener in 1970.
Yeah.
That's another story how I got the name.
Yeah.
Invisible Gardener. People often ask me, how did you get that name? But in 1970, I started immediately when I was actually in the 6th grade. I had 100 customers, more or less.
Wow.
And they would say, I did the gardening from my home, my parents, right? They would walk by and steal tomato or steal something. So I would put a little coffee can, put the money in
Right,
there.
yeah.
Then they would say, come to my house and do it. To what is it you do?
Right.
And so I've always been organic. I've never used chemicals.
Yeah.
And I remember really early reading the Organic Gardening magazine. And he said, feed the soil. I'm going, feed the soil? What does that mean? What are you feeding that's in the soil? I was intrigued. Feed the soil. I'm going. And then I realized the whole thing is alive. That everything in the soil is totally alive. There's so many different things in there. Scientists are going, what is that? What does that do? And they don't know. So these graduates from this microbiology, they have a microbiology degree, but they don't have any practical experience how to deal with diseases, how to deal with pests. You just throw everything at it.
Right.
Hope that something works. Same thing with doctors, right? They have no idea what's going on in your body, but and doctors, just like farmers, I think they're owned by the same companies.
Yeah, I think so. Like as a parent, the umbrella companies pharma and big ag.
So the doctor would say, eat all the junk food you want to, but take this pill. Come into my office once a week for the rest of your life.
Right.
And we're good, right?
Right, yeah.
And it's the same thing with farmers. They're taught, and they tell me all the time, if you grow organically, you cannot feed the world.
Huh.
And they're wrong.
Right.
They're absolutely wrong. And I love it when they come up with studies that says, well, we have studied this and we can prove it, that there's no difference between growing organically and growing chemically. When I first went to school, I lasted maybe a month in the school because I said, okay, I want to do agriculture. I want to learn that. But the teacher said, no, there's no difference between organic growing and chemically growing. It's a chemical, it's a mineral, an iron is an iron, whatever. A nitrogen is nitrogen. And I would say, no, it isn't. Don't tell the trees that.
Right.
There is a big same thing with our body.
Yeah.
And so lately I also have another show called The Doctor and the Gardener.
Oh, cool.
Because I've learned that there are some doctors, it's called the biomean, the tummy. The biology in our stomach is very similar to the biology in the soil. I tell people a long time ago, we were in the soil. We decided we wanted to be able to get up and walk around.
Yeah.
It took us forever to develop this moving soil of us in our tummy.
Right.
You see, and I've learned from experience, you can't eat rock dust.
Right.
You can't eat it. It's not going to do anything in your body.
Yeah.
The same thing with the soil biology. The plants have to eat the food the biology gives them. The soil biology,
got it.
some of these little creatures live on the root hairs.
Yeah.
It's their job to take from the other creatures, they give them the food, because the other creatures, what they do, they break down the minerals. It's all about trace minerals.
Yeah.
It's all about trace minerals. So they break it down in a form that's acceptable to this little creature, which then puts it into the roots and the plants get it.
Wow.
And so there's 96 trace minerals.
Yeah.
And so I've learned that it's all about trace. I have another show called Cosmic Gardening.
Oh, wow.
I explain
so much to get into
I
here.
explain why trace minerals are so important, and you would think it's for building up, but it's not. It has to do with, what cosmic ray is?
Cosmic gray?
Cosmic ray.
Cosmic ray? I mean, I know what I think it is, but...
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I mean, I know about it from the rays of the 7 wisdoms. So you have the six rays of wisdom, and then you have that 7th ray, which is the Saint Germain. Okay, different ray. Okay, great.
I also practice the violet ray, the violet flame.
For sure.
Very,
very
intense. But a ray to me is a electron that travels faster than the speed of light.
Okay.
It's emitted by different things in the planets and suns, and they emit these photons and electrons, all this stuff, and it shoots, and it goes in and out the Earth in a billionth of a second.
Wow.
In and out.
So these cosmic rays come from
Other
planets,
other galaxies.
Yes, and they hit the Earth, and they go right through it.
You know what happens? I'll make it real fast. That cosmic ray, there's two things that happen. One is occasionally it will hit your genes and cause
my DNA.
Yeah, DNA to mutate. Okay, that happens on a regular basis. But what the real reason why we eat this is because every element, every trace minerals has a frequency and a vibration, right?
Yeah.
Color. So these cosmic rays, they tune into, so if they hit an iron or whatever, they absorb the frequencies. So when you're eating iron, copper, all these things, they have a frequency that the cosmic ray, when they hit those elements, are absorbed. You know what a tree does? It's an antenna. The cosmic rays come in, and so what you're eating cosmic energy.
Yeah.
We're cosmic beings.
Right.
You see?
Yeah.
And I developed that all by myself, because the way I developed that is because you leave your body and you follow the cosmic ray. Come back here, come back. Where's it come? So it's like, and we're constantly being bombarded. Right now, we're being bombarded with cosmic rays. We're born and we die, all living things, cosmic rays through the Earth. Yeah. I met a man called Phil Callahan. He wrote a book called Tuning into Nature.
Cool.
So, and one of the things I talk about a lot, which is very similar, we have meridians, we have ley lines. We don't have ley lines. Ley lines are on the Earth.
Right.
We have meridians, but it's the same thing. The energy follows these paths.
Yeah.
And over in England, for example, all the churches are built where the ley lines meet.
Yes, right. Yes, of course.
You can go to Ireland, you can see all these magical stones. Stonehenge, I can tell you lots about Stonehenge, because that's where the ley lines meet, energies meet. Yeah. And they make these stones because they absorb these energies. And when you're there, you're going, wow.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah. It's like a spectacle, but there's so much more that's happening.
Your body gets it. You definitely, we are so good at absorbing energy, it's ridiculous. And I don't want to get off the subject.
No, we're not off subject. We're not off we're not off subject. My mind is going in so many different directions. And
health is important. See, the trace minerals are important for your health. So when you have a disease, you're missing a trace mineral.
Okay, well, let's take it back to the soil. Okay. And so I think it's very fascinating. We're talking about these hundreds of thousands or, innumerable numbers of microorganisms. That might be a more precise word. Innumerable numbers of microorganisms, microbes, viruses, all kinds of things living in the soil. And for the most part, because people aren't necessarily aware or even able to cognitively handle the richness of the soil, there's a lot of sanitization, right? It's like we want to sanitize things.
City water is right on the top of the list.
Right.
It's had this chemical to it, another chemical, more chemicals. So imagine you're an army in the soil and the sprinklers come on. Yeah. Kills you. Literally sterilizes the soil.
Whoa.
Right. So if you don't have the good guys working there, you know what happens? The bad guys move in. And that's the diseases. And all the pests and diseases are not really, it's not good bad guys. It's just the way it works.
Sure. Yeah. But the bacteria, the fungi.
They're needed there for healthy soil. It's just like in our body. You eat chemicals, you're going to destroy your biomine, your ability to absorb energy. And so you're like zombies, right? You walk around, right?
Yeah. So I was listening to a talk you had given a few years ago, and you were talking about feeding the soil, and you were talking about spraying the soil with like coffee, cream, and sugar.
You don't spray the soil with coffee, cream, and sugar. You spray the plants with coffee, cream, and sugar. Okay. I've learned that when I was a kid. Because when I grew up, you didn't, I couldn't go to the store and buy organic fertilizers. Okay, right. Right. So I remember in that particular college, agriculture, that they had a day on photosynthesis. Mm-hmm. It's always very, very boring, but I was very excited about photosynthesis. You mean they take the sun light and convert it
Yeah.
And what do you think they convert it into?
Yeah.
Sugar. So I fixed sugar. So I'm just going to help
Right,
the
a
plant.
saccharide.
Yeah, I'm just going to help the plant out by giving them the sugar.
Okay.
And so you have to give it to them. You just can't give them sugar. You have to give it to them in a form. So the coffee is acidic, has iron, all kinds of trace minerals. If it's organic, right, all kinds of trace minerals in there.
Yeah.
Guess what cream does? It's
Yeah.
cream. What does your mom tell you, or on TV when you were young? Drink your milk because...
For your bones.
There you go. Why does it do?
Calcium.
There you go.
Okay.
And calcium
Do plants need calcium?
Yes, ma'am.
I had no idea.
Calcium is more important than nitrogen, than iron.
You're kidding me.
No, it's a building block. So imagine an army building a city, right? They have to have something to work
they have
with,
to have
and
the
that's
bricks to
calcium.
lay. Wow.
And that's calcium.
Wow.
Same thing with our bodies.
Yeah.
So, you don't need just calcium for your bones. You need calcium for your cells.
Right.
Your little cells need the calcium to
Yeah.
be able to take the nitrogen, to be able to take. And as a matter of fact, you don't even need. I don't know if you are aware of this, but when I drive around, like when I drive to Ojai, there's this tree in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nobody's feeding it.
Right.
Or another tree on top of a hill.
Sure. When you get up to like Buellton and, you go through Gaviota and you go up through the Central Coast.
So
yeah.
Mother Nature has a ways that you can, these trees, you can get fed.
Yeah.
You see, so we have, and I talk a lot about it because we're literally swimming in a sea of toxins that we have created. Mm-hmm. Just talking the other day to somebody about microplastics, right? Forever chemicals. I do another show. It's about aliens coming to Earth. Right? And they say, we're going to go fishing. We're going to go on a fishing trip. That's why aliens come here. They come here for gold, for water, and within the water there's fishes, so they like to fish.
Oh, really? Wait, aliens like fish?
They like to fish.
I had no idea.
Because Earth is one of those unique things that only happens in...
It only happens on Earth.
Yeah. Earth is like... You know what a fractal is?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how... So there's a formula. One of the reasons I like about Mother Nature is that she follows a formula. And if you're a mathematician like Einstein, you can see how the formula works.
Yeah.
And so a fractal is a visual... You can see how God works. Because there's chaos and there's peace.
Right.
So a fractal has peace in the center. Everything else is chaotic.
Yeah.
But what's cool is that it tells you how Mother Nature works. You ever see how the movies where they follow a fractal, it goes in and in, it shows the same thing over and over
Yeah,
again?
sure. You mean like an animation, and then they
Right,
do the
and you
thing.
can see this.
Yeah.
They go deeper and deeper. It's the very same thing. So that's exactly explains the universe. It actually explains nature, the cosmos, how everything works. It's really cool, and it covers everything, including us, including consciousness.
Yeah.
Right, including consciousness.
Yeah.
And consciousness is very unique. It's a very unique energy because it could go beyond time and space. And I have discussions all the time. Do these biologies have consciousness? Do ants? I was watching a thing about octopuses.
Right.
It's a show you should watch.
Sure.
It's really cool because the lady's looking at the octopus. The octopus is looking. She puts her hand out. The octopus puts her tentacles out. They hold hands, looking at each other, And scientists are going, and that octopus is 100 times more intelligent than we are.
Right. More neural synapses and more connected.
More intelligent than we are.
Yeah.
And so there's a debate whether it has a consciousness or not. Just because it acts like humans doesn't mean. So consciousness is really very cool. So I see consciousness in everything. There's consciousness in rocks, right? Just because it's inanimate doesn't mean it doesn't have a consciousness.
Right. When you talk about the consciousness in rocks, are you talking about the minerals? Are we talking about the microorganisms? Are we talking about the geometry, the geomancy?
I see consciousness in a very different way than normal people would see it.
Yeah.
Because consciousness to me is a geometric form. If you look at energy, they all have geometric forms.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about frequency, it has a geometric form.
Yeah.
And Mother Nature has a consciousness. Trees have a consciousness. Birds have a consciousness. Everything has a consciousness. Just
Right.
because it looks like a rock doesn't mean it doesn't have a consciousness.
Yeah.
And that somewhere in another universe, people are rocks,
Right.
right?
Reminds me of that, that cartoon. What's his name? Nilsson, The Point. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Is it Harry Nilsson?
I don't know.
You don't know the guy? He did the song. Come on.
I don't know.
Everybody's talking at me.
No.
Oh, he has a great cartoon. Anyway, he has his own cartoon, and there's like a rock man.
Yeah.
He's a very wise dude.
So consciousness is the key to everything. And once you realize that there's a greater consciousness and a lesser consciousness.
Yeah.
So I relate to people to the ocean, a drop in the ocean. So the consciousness is the ocean, we're the drop.
Right.
See, there's a big difference. But
Yeah.
yet we are part of the ocean.
Right. Yeah. So the lesser consciousness being the drop, the one
That's us, right?
that's us. The
And all the animals are all lesser consciousness, but we all come from one consciousness, which explains interdimensional travels, which explains a lot of other things in nature, like the fractal. Very, very cool. But sticking to the earth, I've learned that everything comes down to the biology. So the earth is one big biology,
yeah.
right? One big
Totally,
biology. We
yeah.
talk about Mother Gaia, right?
Yeah.
Consciousness, it
Yeah.
really is. So we have a group consciousness as living beings.
Yeah.
We have this group consciousness. You see, right?
I have kind of a wild question for you,
Uh-oh.
and
Uh-oh.
it's current events. I'm just sort of curious. We both live in Los Angeles. We know that the city of Los Angeles is going through some wild times, and certainly we had a big fire, biggest fire in history, in this history of this state, as far as we know. A few months ago, and now everybody's very concerned about the soil health. I mean, do you have any?
Are they?
Well, are they?
Are
I
they?
think some people are.
They?
I mean, I guess my question is, what are your thoughts about the soil health?
I think that I've been doing this for a long time, and I hate to say this, we have not evolved very far
Yeah.
in terms of consciousness, in terms of relating to the soil health. It's like when I started in 1970, I can go to the store and the word organic barely appears anywhere,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah,
know?
totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you have more of that. You would think, well, yeah, we're growing. Our consciousness is going in that direction. We're more organic things available.
Yeah.
But it's not that way at all. It's
Yeah.
like the powers that be, the business, they're using those words.
Right.
You
It's
buy something-
marketing. It's branding.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not organic.
Yeah.
There's, I hate to mention certain names, but he was very wealthy. He decided that so vegetables and fruit are now allowed to have a coating. It's not organic,
Right.
yet unorganic products.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and he's you know who he is, Microsoft.
Of course. Yeah.
But
We don't have to
he
say
passed
it.
it through the system, and now when you're buying fruit and vegetables, they're allowed to have this chemical coating
Oh, wow.
on it.
Wow.
So even the term organic is all very, very, it's all misleading.
It really makes you want to know your farmer. I got to
You need
say.
to know your farmer. You have to go up. I would love to go to farmers markets. Oh, you're organic. Are you? What are you doing? I'm not doing anything. Are you healthy soil? Well,
Right. Or as you might be able to guide people to do is do your own gardening.
That's the
It's not that difficult. You can do it in an urban space. People have been doing it for thousands of
Right.
years.
Remember Victory Gardens?
Yeah, you don't need a lot of space to do a little bit of
But you
gardening.
do need to have the consciousness. You
Right.
need to get off the chemical path.
That's what I was going to say. You do have to have the consciousness.
Your home could be a paradise. We were talking the other day about epic gardening.
Wow, what a great name.
And epic gardening to me means it's self-sustainable. It's totally alive and functioning. As a matter of fact, I tell people if a giant spaceship came and took every living being off the planet, Mother Nature go, wow, it's about time, right?
Yeah.
So we revert back. Everything will
Yeah.
start growing beautifully again. Trees will flourish. Nobody's feeding them except
Right.
Mother Nature is.
Right. Yeah, we could really come back into an Edenic way of living.
Right, we can, but again, we're going down the wrong path. We're going for money rather than for the idea of living in paradise.
I as I said, I was listening to a talk that you had given a few years ago, and you had made this point, which is like we shouldn't be chasing money. We should be chasing life. And the greed consciousness does break my heart. It really does.
That's why I love Star Trek so much. They got rid of money.
They did? I don't know.
Yeah, and Gene Roddenberry decided we don't need money. Mm-hmm. If everybody didn't have money, they could follow their path or whatever they want to do.
Right.
You know, and so we haven't yet come to that point yet. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, the Aquarian age is going through some changes right now.
Yeah.
We're in the Aquarian age. We're about 10 degrees into the Aquarian age now.
Yeah.
So the fishes in the water have to learn to be fishes in the air. Mm. And so the whole system doesn't want to change because Aquarius is not into money. Mm-hmm. We're not into money. I have 5 planets in Aquarius, lots of Aquarius. Very
totally.
very
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. They call that the outsider. And they say the outsiders have a really like strange relationship to money because they just don't really get it. And I feel that way a lot of times. I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't get this.
I never concentrate on money. I concentrate on life. I concentrate on being happy. I also concentrate on plants being happy. The insects have a right to be happy. Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as a bad ant, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. You know.
I mean, that's a paradigm shift right there. You know, the ants come in, people flip out. I flip out, and then
I go hi. So I said, I need to talk to your queen. I mean, let me have a little discussion with your queen. The queen says, look, you humans have done. You guys, we were here before you. And we're going to be here after you. So we don't care what you do, and I'm not going to listen to you. And I said, well, I would appreciate it if we sort of live in harmony. You guys are welcome to be outside. You're welcome to do your thing. This is my home. I would appreciate if you stay out.
Yeah.
And there's lots of ways you can. That's why I have a book called Dances with Ants.
Wow. How do you talk to spiders?
Spiders are beneficial. 99.9% are all beneficial. So if they're doing something, they're going after the bad guys, the insects that they eat.
The spider, my new place, the spiders are, they're present.
All over. Inside, you mean?
Inside.
So one of the easiest, there are several ways you can deal with spiders. One is the frequencies that you put out. Mm-hmm. Put out certain frequencies they don't like.
Okay.
And you just have to learn what they are. So when you play music, you learn how to do that. But there are easier ways to deal with it. So when I started dealing with insects and pests, people say, how do I get rid of spiders? I said, well, first of all, you leave them alone outside.
Okay.
If they're coming inside the house because you're making it very comfortable for them, giving them water, and you're giving them plenty of food because all kinds of creatures are coming in that they're going after. Mm-hmm. So I started learning how to use, teaching people how to use soap. Mm-hmm. One of my favorites is Dr. Bronner's soap. You know what that is, right?
Of course.
They have lavender, eucalyptus, peppermint. Yeah. So the smell is a certain frequency that the spiders will smell. Mm. They will see it and smell it. And some of them don't like, most of them don't like, all insects are very sensitive to this smell.
Got it.
Finely tuned frequencies will see. They see, if you ever look at a spider's eye, they see it. Mm-hmm. They'll see it before they smell it.
They see the frequency of the smell.
Yes, right. All insects have evolved to see a specific frequency that they tune into. Mm. So it's like they have a TV right in front of it. When the picture comes in, wow, that's for me. Mm-hmm. So I teach about refractometers.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea what a refractometer is.
It was invented by a cook. I used to go out shopping with my mom. She would grab a tomato or something. Yeah. The guy said, "Don't do that. Here, slice it, give it to you, right?"
Yeah.
So I had a pendulum that I would try to figure it out, right? So this guy invented a refractometer. Mainly it's used right now for wine, beer making, those things, because it measures the sugar level in the plant. Huh. And the sugar level equals the mineral level. Mother Nature says, hey, sugar. We're going to make sugar as a transporter of the minerals. Express it out.
So if there's high sugar in the plant, that is a signal that there's high mineral content in the plant.
Right. And what happens is that the bugs are trained genetically to go for certain things. So when you're deficient in minerals, what happens is your body, same thing your humans and insects and plants, they produce a simple carbohydrates. And when you have all these trace minerals, makes sense, right? You're going to have complex carbohydrates.
Right.
Insects, diseases cannot survive in a complex carbohydrate environment, but in the simple carbohydrates environment. That tells you right there.
So when the soil is depleted of minerals, there's only simple, complex carbohydrates.
It's really when the soil is depleted of the biology, then it's depleted of the minerals. Because what happens is chemical people say, "Oh, we're just going to dump this chemical, with this mineral." I have a friend who's a chemist. I get 5 pounds of calcium, 5 pounds of this. We don't need biology. You just need the elements. Dump them in, and they'll be fine. Except that it doesn't work that way.
Right. It's a super weird concept, actually, that let's decimate everything and then we'll fix the very, very, subtle organic cocktail that's supposed to be there. We'll re-replicate that by re-fertilizing the soil.
Right. And then they say, it's normal for you to spray this or normal for you to spray that. That's part of the system.
Right.
When I went to the store, people would say, well, I have whiteflies. What do I do with whiteflies? Well, buy this and spray that. Forget about the process, same thing with your body. Oh, I have this illness. Always just take this and you keep doing what you want to do. So it's the same people, because I can see the process that we go through. I mean, we're fed. I was talking to a friend of mine. He goes to a restaurant. Sugar, if it's not organic, the sugar is not organic.
Right.
Highly GMO junk, right? They came out with a sugar that's 1,000 times more sweeter than before. They were gonna name it, if you eat this sugar, you'll die. So they call it fructose now to confuse you even more, because fructose is supposed to come from fruit.
Right. That is confusing. And
then they make salt. So you think, remember, you don't eat too much salt, but what you're saying is, don't eat man-made salt. There's man-made salt and natural salt that Mother Nature makes. The salt that Mother Nature makes has 90 trace minerals in it. One's called C90, SEA90. It's got 90 trace minerals, because that's how Mother Nature spreads the minerals around, right?
Wow.
But the minerals that we make are totally void of any minerals.
Right. Yeah, I mean the salt that we make is void of any minerals. So you can put a bunch of NaC or whatever,
when it rains,
chloride,
it pours.
Yeah. Whew, yeah, that's the kosher salt. Yeah.
So the relationship between diseases and pests and trees and plants and the diseases in the human body are identical problems. So when I tell people, you don't have an ant problem, you have a soil problem, I tell people, you don't have a disease, you have a stomach problem.
Well, and this kind of brings us to the bigger umbrella picture that you've been talking about this entire time, actually, which is that if you're balanced and in connection and in a biosymbiotic relationship, that actually you feel very enriched, you feel very whole, feel very healthy, and you can even connect to a more multidimensional cosmic show that is more satisfying and more entertaining than the kind of materialism that drives.
Look, if you're a cosmic being, you cannot function if you don't have the energy to be a cosmic being. You're just going to be stuck on the earth. So your consciousness is going to be right here, right in front of you, right? Rather than expanding, because you need energy to make that happen.
Yeah.
See, so the human race has gone down this path of zombies.
Right.
So if when I was a kid, I one of the things I liked about the lemmings, and this is another fallacy that I just learned recently, because I would see lemmings running off the cliff, and then I would say, no, I'm going that way. In reality, lemmings don't run off a cliff. That's just they wanted you to think that lemmings do. Lady says, no, they don't run off the cliff. But that's...
What do lemmings actually do?
Well, they're just like normal creatures. They don't run off a cliff. And cows do that.
Got it. Yeah.
You know, the run off. That's how the caveman would hunt. They just make him run off the cliff. But human beings, for me, we're being treated as cattle. We're being treated, everybody this way. Everybody go this way. Oh, you want to think differently? Then we get rid of you.
Right. Yeah.
So that's always been my hang up with everybody, because you're crazy. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I was going to say it takes a lot of courage to think differently, because the response is, you're crazy, you're doing it wrong. There's a lot of...
And it's still, and we're very much ingrained in this. And now the society as a whole, it's very much money, it's very much destroying the soil. They don't know that they're destroying. This is what's interesting about it. The fertilizers you're using, the chemicals that you're using, the city water, all the time, it's constantly destroying the soil and our bodies. We are living in toxins. And I feel like putting on a spacesuit and a mask, walk around, oh, how you doing? I'm fine. Right?
Well, I mean, that's certainly the dystopic future that's set up in certain media projects. But I guess I'm curious about, what have you thought about an alternative solution to fresh, clean water in the kinds of cities that we have today?
I think about it all the time, and we're getting further and further away. As long as we are involved with how to make more money, and we're not going to be doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If you say, okay, let's do the right thing by the earth and still make money.
For sure. I believe I believe prosperity can be generated by mutual care and enrichment. I don't believe we need to exploit.
But the biggest problem I see is let them eat cake. Consciousness.
Right.
Remember with the castle, they had people outside, they would throw the food away and they would let them eat cake.
Yeah.
So we're still in that mode. We still have the wealthy, super wealthy, they live in the sky, and we live on the earth.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to, and that's what the Aquarian age is all about, is letting go, transforming. So it's a hard battle to win. The fishes are still in the water.
Yeah.
They're not going to be flying anytime soon.
Yeah.
But you have to do that, because as we go more and more into the Aquarian age, we have to be a water bearer, not in the water, not Piscean energy.
Let me ask you about this. I mean, the counter identity to the age of Aquarius is Leo. And I feel like there are so many beautiful parts about Leo identity, true individuation, creativity, nobility, self-nobility. But right now, I feel as though sometimes we're watching the negatives of Leo. I see a lot of more imperialism, more narcissism. Narcissism is a quality of Leo. I have a Leo moon. I'm not trying to point a finger at the Leo there. I'm just saying that is part of it. And I see that is, there's some people I think who are taking advantage of this counterbalance. What do you think about?
Lots of people. You can see them a mile away.
Yeah.
And they're reacting to, this is an opportunity. Always is.
Right.
When there's a battle between the light and the dark always sees it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
See, so that's what's going on now.
Opportunistic consciousness.
Exactly right. Take advantage of when you're down and control them.
Right.
They want the control. But the problem with that thought is that they're going to have to change. They're going to have to let go. They're going to have to evolve.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, they're going to have to. There's no way they can just continue because the universe... The way it works, just in case you don't know about it, I'll tell you anyway.
Yeah, well, we're having a conversation.
We travel through space.
Yeah.
And so all the signs are basically telling us about the space that we're in. Different frequencies for each space.
Right.
So it's not like you can stop that travel. We will travel through the Aquarian age. We will go through all these different, right? And so you will change. You will have to change. And so if you don't change, it's nothing but chaos, nothing but pain, nothing but, right? So you can have 10,000 years of pain or 10,000 years of light and beauty, right? You know what I mean? It has happened in the past where the Aquarian age would come and they would not change. They fought, they killed it. And it was like, and so of course the evil, you have to have both.
Right.
You can't have light without the darkness.
Yeah.
I've learned that from experience myself. Because I've been around here many, many lifetimes. You don't want to know how many lifetimes.
Yeah.
This is just one in many.
Yeah.
And you've learned that you got to have light and darkness. You can't.
But does darkness, I ask this question of myself, and some people ask me, does darkness have to be disassociation, divorce, not meaning marital divorce, but divorce from source? Can darkness also just be nighttime?
Right.
Can darkness be quietude?
Darkness is not evil.
Doesn't
neither
have
is
to be.
light.
Mm-hmm.
White is not evil, neither is darkness.
Mm-hmm.
We can't use it. We can use it either way.
Right.
So you learn. Darkness just means it's just the absence of light.
Yeah.
And light is all colors. White is all colors.
Yeah. Did you ever read the book A Wrinkle in Time?
Wrinkle in Time.
It's probably been a while.
Maybe it's a movie.
It's a movie too, but I think the movie's really not justice to the book.
Tell me about it.
Well, it's about these young children who meet these interdimensional beings, and they take them on an interdimensional space journey to find their father, who has gone off to sort of fight the dark forces accidentally, and he might have been sent there by the government, unclear. And they get there not through space travel, but by tesseracting, which is a wrinkle in time. They bring the, two spaces together. But they go to this planet. It's a fictional, it really exists, but the way that they describe it is fictionalized. It's called Uriel. And the beings that live on this planet are these beautiful centaur-type beings with massive wings, and they're just incredibly radiant, and rainbows, spring from their every pore, and their songs are about the glory and the greatness of totality, and it seems like this exquisite planet of peace, bliss, and beauty, and
you have to have both. So if you want a planet of peace, you're also going to get a planet of destruction. That's the way Mother Nature's balanced it out. That's why a fractal is so interesting to look at, because there is balance in chaos. There's chaos doesn't really just, chaos is done in an orderly fashion.
Right.
So that a mathematician can see how progress goes. They can see how it works. It doesn't just happen. Mother Nature is very wise in how she plans everything out. Everything's done for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Law of cause and effect. It doesn't just come about.
Yeah. I want to take us back into soil a little bit and just talk about soil. Well, you had said this thing about, easy ways to care for the earth, ways to care. You could do it every day. Like, it doesn't have to be a whole radical,
My first
identity
book was
shift.
How do you heal the earth in your spare time?
There we go. That's what it was.
That was the idea. So you don't have to make a radical change in your life. You just have to make small changes on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You just have to push the consciousness in a certain direction.
Right.
Yeah. It's so simple.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Just by going organic, for example, just eating organic, or it's just by having a water filter on your property, or just by not buying chemical fertilizers or chemical pesticides. So you gradually start working your way, because everybody around you is using all the chemicals. They're all doing all this
Right.
stuff. So you're surrounded with all these chemicals.
Right.
So when I started doing that, I learned to put a shield around my property. You literally have to put not a physical shield, an energetic shield. Stop the frequencies from all these chemicals and happening.
So you really work with energy. I mean,
that's what it's all about.
In addition to
That's what it's all about.
in addition to repopulating the soil and refertilizing the soil.
But a lot of times I bring gems, I will plant them into people's properties.
You do.
So, yeah. Or I would have a little fairy house.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. But and some of them really already doing that. Some of them understand. So I do gem elixir, for example, for people, but gem elixir work really good for the soil.
Wow.
That's what rubies, the diamonds, all those things are
Whoa.
frequencies.
How do you know what your soil is deficient in? Like, how would you know? I mean, you are obviously very intuitive, but I'm intuitive, but if I were to go to my soil and be like, do you need an emerald elixir? Like, what do you need? You know?
Well, see, no, so the energy aspect of it is very different than the physical aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
The energy of it has to do with acknowledging that we're all energy beings.
Okay.
Even the soil biology is energy beings, the earth is energy beings. And it's just trying to balance that energy level, because you can see all the different things that are happening to you that are non-life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are frequencies that are really bad for you,
Right.
and frequencies that are really good for you.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to understand, like cooking. So what you do is you have a complete diet, right? A complete meal.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just eat rice.
Right.
Right? So you have all kinds of stuff put in. So that's what you want with the soil, because the soil biology is always a blend. It's always an amazing blend of biology. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to try to find what's missing. You get something that's a blend. You learn how to
I see. Okay.
Right? That makes it real simple.
Okay.
You don't need to be a scientist to say, well, it's missing this trace mineral.
Right.
It's just, I'm giving you 96 trace minerals. We don't need to know what's missing.
Yeah. And you had said in this talk, compost.
Yeah.
Compost not just as like an eco warrior, but compost because that's how you make rich, fertile soil.
Right. There's a reason why we make compost, not to recycle.
Mm-hmm.
The real reason is compost is Mother Nature's Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Nature is constantly refurbishing their home.
Yeah.
All the time she's bringing biology. So I tell people, when was the last time an animal came and died in your backyard and decomposed? So in the good old days, Mother Nature had billions and trillions of birds and creatures all doing their thing. And
right. And for most people, that'd be terrifying. Like, I get that dead thing out of here. Right.
That's how Mother Nature recycles everything back into the soil. She's constantly putting biology and a blend of biology.
Yeah.
So when I do... So that's one reason why I have a worm farm, for example. Worms are Mother Nature. They eat things, and the poop comes out in the liquid. It's a complete trace minerals product, but also the biology. You have to have all the different creatures that can handle all the different trace minerals. One creature is not going to handle them all. They're specialized.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Right. So it becomes really simple if you think of it. Okay, I'm just going to have a complete meal.
Right.
I don't need to worry about whether I have too much sugar in my diet. I'm just going to have a good food to make.
Right.
And then you're good.
Yeah.
See, well, the problem with other people do is they're not eating a complete diet.
This is going to sound silly and potential. Well,
Sorry.
just wait till I ask the question. This is going to sound silly, maybe even offensive. But you see these apps that are like, take a picture. We'll show you what's wrong with your plant. Have you seen these apps?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do you think about these apps?
Very misleading, but you can use it.
Okay.
What I do is I teach people the weeds are Mother Nature's band-aids also.
Mm-hmm.
And when a job of a weed, we give it a name weed. But it's not
right.
a weed.
Yeah.
A job of a weed is to bring to the soil what's missing. So if you have a plant that's growing like a weed, because they have deep roots, they bring stuff to the ground. When they die, they return. So they have an app, you can look at it and click on it, it tells you, this is rich in iron, and well, you know that weed is bringing iron up that's needed by the biology to work.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Got it.
But it doesn't, the idea of take a picture and it tells you what has the disease, you can spray this.
Yes.
It bypasses the whole scenario. It would be great to say, well, it's missing that trace mineral.
Well, that's what I mean, where it's like, okay, so we're giving, let's say we're gardening, we're giving our soil a full meal, we're composting, we're giving it the full meal. And then let's say your roses have aphids or your tomatoes.
It doesn't happen if you're doing it right.
Okay.
So when you're making compost, that's the time to put everything in.
Okay.
See, so I teach rock dust.
Right. Yes, I saw that. And I was like, okay, got to ask him about the rock dust.
The rock dust is literally that. It's rocks that have been turned into dust. That's how Mother Nature remineralizes. It's called remineralization. Mm-hmm. One of the ways Mother Nature remineralizes, it does a lot of ways, is ice ages. The ice comes and crushes everything down, and it goes back again. There's your remineralization. Volcanoes, when they blow up,
Right.
they spread this minerals rich around the world.
Yeah.
Right? See?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So volcanic ash is not just for the immediate vicinity, immediate location. It's for the whole world.
Mother Nature has a really unique recycling system. And I'll tell you, part of the problem that Mother Nature is trying to figure out is that you have toxins here. It'll spread the toxins out everywhere.
Right.
The toxins go everywhere. Radiation, when you have a problem with nuclear power plants, it's the toxic radiation, toxic waste.
Yeah.
And did you know that you can have a nuclear power plant without any toxic waste?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so they use plutonium, but they could use thorium. And then after they got a Thor.
Wow.
There's 2 countries in the world, Russia and India, that have this nuclear power plant made from thorium. No nuclear waste whatsoever. None.
Wow.
And it's totally clean. But the reason why we have using plutonium is because we make atomic bombs with that.
Right.
It's a way to continue making these bombs.
Do you believe the narrative that if we don't have bombs, they'll get bombs and they'll come bomb us, or do you not care?
Well, the way, unfortunately, that's what the United States is. We're going to have so much weapons that nobody would dare attack us because of mutual destruction.
Right.
And so that has to really a Piscean thinking.
Yeah.
That's a very intense Piscean thinking that they're eventually going to have to stop.
Right.
But you don't get to that point. The only way it will work is an alien will come to the Earth, and you know how the day the Earth stood still?
Yeah.
Right? Land. Okay, everybody, we're taking over.
Right.
We're taking over. You're going to give us all your weapons. If you don't like it, we'll just blow you up, and we're going to control you.
Do you think that's already happened?
Oh, I think it's probably happened before, and it's already maybe going on at a certain level.
It may be going on a certain level. I guess I had this other question. Oh, well, do you not care? I mean, do you not care about being destroyed?
No, because
that doesn't scare you.
No, because it's just a matter of nothing ends, nothing ever is destroyed or created.
Yeah.
So, but unfortunately, that particular cycle, if we blow up the planet, then there goes all these beings. They have to find some other place to reincarnate again.
Well, it's an interesting thing around having value for creation and value for the opportunity of this experience where, they say in the yogic archives it takes 8.4 million lifetimes to earn a human body.
That's right.
And that, there are people waiting online to get one of these things.
That's right.
So no, it doesn't matter. In some ways it's like, no, it doesn't matter. You're going to come back. And in other ways, this incarnation is, we don't want to be clinging.
But if you destroy the earth, there's nothing to come back to.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Right.
I'm with you.
Imagine you reincarnate, you go, there used to be
you don't get Earth. I mean, that's the thing. The Earth ride it's a hot ride. The Earth ride is an amazing ride.
That's why we're here, to either destroy or create.
Yeah, and have amazing, exquisite Earth rides.
Other places you can go to, but not particularly here.
You could go to Uriel, and the Uriel ride from A Wrinkle in Time looks really beautiful, but it's not the Earth ride. Right. And the Earth ride is
very, very unique.
Yeah.
And people are waiting in line.
And it's a really, you're very connected to the Earth spirit. I think the Earth ride is outrageously gorgeous,
I volunteered my services a trillion lifetime ago. They said, we need a volunteer to come to Earth. And everybody backed away, and I'm standing there going, what happened? Volunteer. Oh, great.
You took a trillion lifetime contract. You're like, yeah, I'll do a trillion. No times. No problems.
And it's like every time, okay, I'm done. No,
I know. I realized I took a multi-lifetime contract, and I was like,
you're not.
Send me down. I'm in.
I've been fortunate enough that I've experienced ascended masters. I've ascended all kinds of interesting masters that come to the Earth.
Yeah. Astra, Andy, Invisible Gardener, I'm so grateful to your existence and everything that you do on the planet, and for you coming to In the Naad today. Thank you. It's good to have you as a soul brother.
Hopefully you'll let me know when it's going to be, where it's going to go, so I can share it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming today.
And I'll send you a copy of my book.
Oh, thank you.
By the way, I give the ebook version away.
Oh, well, that's good for everybody to know that you could get Don't Panic, It's Organic.
Right. So all they have to do is go to my website, sign up for the newsletter. There's a little button that says, send me my ebook.